There is a place in South Sudan where the map simply gives up. The locals call it the Sud. In Arabic, it translates roughly to the barrier, and for centuries, that is exactly what it was. Victorian explorers, obsessed with finding the source of the Nile, would sail into this green maze and simply vanish. It is a floating swamp the size of England, a shifting labyrinth where islands of rotting vegetation drift like icebergs, constantly rewriting the geography. The heat is oppressive. The humidity creates a wall of air so thick you have to chew it to breathe. It is a place of ancient, heavy silence. Humans do not belong here. Even today, with GPS and satellite imagery, to step into the Sud is to step out of the modern world and into the Paleolithic. You are isolated, you are exposed, and you are listening.
Imagine you're sitting in a canoe deep in the reeds. The sun has just set. The silence is absolute. And then, out of the dark, your brain immediately catalogs that sound. That is mechanical. That is violent. That is the distinct percussive rhythm of automatic gunfire. In a region scarred by civil war, your instinct screams to take cover. But then, you realize the rhythm is inconsistent. It's too hollow, and there is no smell of gunpowder. That sound didn't come from a rifle. It came from a throat. This is Balanaceps rex, the king whalehead, colloquially known as the shoebill. If you look at this creature and feel a sense of unease, you aren't alone. It triggers a very specific primal alarm. Most birds have eyes on the sides of their heads. They are prey. They scan the horizon for danger. But the shoebill? Its eyes face forward, like a wolf, like a human. It possesses binocular vision. It isn't looking around you. It is staring at you. Standing 5 feet tall, with a wingspan of 8 feet and a beak capable of decapitating a crocodile, it exists in the uncanny valley of biology. It moves with a deliberate animatronic slowness. It looks like a prehistoric concept art that was rejected for being too ridiculous. Science classifies this as a bird, but the longer you stare at it, the more it feels like something else entirely. A glitch in the simulation, a dinosaur that simply refused to die.
If you were to observe a sparrow or a duck or a chicken, you would see a creature in a state of constant nervous vibration. Birds are usually twitchy. They are high-energy engines that need to constantly scan, peck, and move. But the shoebill has opted out of that game. It possesses a patience that feels geological. This isn't laziness, it is a biological necessity. This animal is a massive, heavy machine running on low battery mode. Its head is disproportionately large. The skull alone is dense and heavy. To move that head requires a significant caloric investment. So it plays a high-stakes game of red light, green light with the universe. It conserves every single joule of energy, waiting for the perfect moment to spend it all at once. And then there are the eyes. This is where the uncanny valley feeling becomes hard to ignore. This is the source of the uncanny valley. The shoebill violates the standard blueprint of a bird. Most birds have eyes positioned laterally, on the sides of their heads. They are prey animals. They need a panoramic view to spot danger coming from behind. But the shoebill has forward-facing eyes. It possesses true binocular vision. It isn't scanning the horizon. It is calculating depth. It is triangulating coordinates. When this bird looks at you, it triggers a deep ancestral paranoia in the human brain because it looks at us the way a wolf does. It creates the distinct sensation of being assessed. For over a century, this creature gave taxonomists a migraine. They looked at it and asked, "What are you?" They tried to group it with the storks. The anatomy didn't fit. They tried to group it with the pelicans. The behavior didn't match. They tried the herons. The DNA said no. Eventually, science admitted defeat. The shoebill is an evolutionary orphan. It is the only member of its genus. It is the only member of its family. It has no close cousins, no living relatives. It is Balaniceps rex, the king whalehead, a genetic outlier that simply refused to evolve into something that made sense. So here it stands, a solitary king in a floating swamp, motionless, silent, watching. We have spent minutes looking at a statue, but do not mistake this stillness for passivity. The battery is charged, the calculations are complete, and when this statue finally decides to move, it doesn't peck, it collapses. To understand the violence that is about to happen, you first have to respect the machinery involved. This is not a beak in the traditional sense, it is an industrial clamp. It is the third largest bill in the avian world, a foot long and 5 inches wide. But it's not the size that kills, it's the engineering. The edges of the mandibles are razor sharp. When they close, they slide past each other like a pair of garden shears. This isn't designed for pecking seeds or plucking insects. This is a bioengineered guillotine. The target is acquired. A West African lungfish, or perhaps a water snake, or even a baby crocodile. The shoebill does not strike like a heron. A heron is a spear. It extends its neck with surgical precision. The shoebill is a sledgehammer. It performs a maneuver known as the collapse. It literally throws its entire body weight face first into the abyss. It relies on gravity and brute force. It is the clumsiest assassin in nature. It falls like a dropped piano. The strike is chaos. Unlike an osprey or a hawk that snatches prey cleanly from the surface, the shoebill dredges the swamp. When it comes up, it brings the bottom of the river with it. It has the catch, but the job isn't done. Now comes the messy process of separating the salad from the sushi. This process can take minutes. It is a slow, grinding execution. The bird crushes the prey, repositions it, and decapitates it with those shear-like edges. It is vulnerable during this time. It is exposed. That is why it targets the slow, the sluggish, and the unaware. Efficient, brutal, and solitary. The shoebill is a master of surviving the swamp. But surviving the environment is the easy part. The true horror of the shoebill's life cycle doesn't happen in the water. It happens in the nest. You see, shoebills usually lay 2 eggs, but they only ever plan to raise 1.
Nature is cruel, but the shoebill is calculating. For the second chick, the swamp isn't the enemy. The enemy is sitting right next to it.
In the heart of this furnace, the female shoebill constructs a fortress. She lays 2 eggs. To the human observer, this looks like the beginning of a family. But to the shoebill, This is a risk management strategy. The first chick hatches a few days earlier. It gets a head start on growth, on strength, and on aggression. The second chick? The second chick is a backup file. It is a biological spare tire. It exists solely for one reason, in case the first one dies. But if the first one doesn't die, the spare becomes a liability. This is the phenomenon known as siblicide. It is not a quick death. It is a slow, systematic exclusion. The older sibling views the younger not as family, but as competition for a very limited resource. And in the Sud, resources are everything. This is the moment that breaks the human heart. We expect the parent to intervene, to protect the weak, to be a parent. But the Shoebill operates on cold, caloric logic. The parent ignores the smaller chick completely. The mother does not waste food on a broken investment. She creates a feedback loop. She feeds the strong one because it is strong, and it gets stronger because she feeds it. The weak one fades into the background noise of the swamp. Eventually, it is simply gone. We might call this cruelty, but nature calls it accounting. Remember the energy required for the hunt, the collapse, the patience, the sheer size of this animal. To raise a shoebill from a ball of fuzz into a 5-foot monster requires an astronomical amount of food. The swamp cannot support 2 kings in one castle. To try and raise both would mean starving them both. So nature chose the cruelest math. One survives or none survive. The survivor now faces the next great enemy, the sun. The Sud is a pressure cooker. Temperatures routinely break 40 degrees Celsius, and this bird is covered in dark, heat-absorbing feathers. It cannot sweat. So how does a prehistoric monster keep from cooking alive in its own skin? Well, it has a trick. It is brilliant, it is effective, and it is absolutely revolting.
We are back in the furnace. In the dry season, the temperature in these swamps pushes past 35, sometimes 40 degrees Celsius. And consider the shoebill's wardrobe. It is covered in slate-gray feathers. Physically, this is like wearing a charcoal wool coat inside a sauna. Mammals have a simple solution. We sweat. We coat our skin in water. The air evaporates it, and we cool down. But birds do not have sweat glands. So how does a biological oven keep from overheating? If you look closely at a shoebill's legs, you will often see they are stark white. That is not natural pigmentation. That is not the color of their skin. That is a chemical cooling system. In scientific term, it's urohydrosis. In plain English, they defecate on themselves. It sounds repulsive, but it is a stroke of evolutionary genius. The waste is a mixture of feces and urine. As this liquid coats the legs, the intense African heat causes it to evaporate. The evaporation pulls heat away from the blood vessels in the legs. That cooled blood then circulates back up into the body, lowering the bird's core temperature. It is an industrial cooling loop fueled by their own waste. It is messy, it's gross, but it keeps them alive in a place where most things die. And this reveals the shoebill's greatest weakness. They are what biologists call specialists. A rat or a pigeon or a cockroach, these are generalists. They can eat anything, live anywhere, and adapt to chaos. The shoebill cannot. It needs this specific swamp. It needs this specific temperature. It needs this specific type of lungfish. Evolution has designed them to be the perfect key for a very specific lock. But when humans change the lock, the key becomes useless. As the swamps are drained for agriculture and as oil exploration cuts into the Sud, the king of the marsh is running out of kingdom. Current estimates suggest there are only 5,000 to 8,000 left in the wild. They are listed as vulnerable. They are living ghosts, fading from the map 1 acre at a time. We look at them and see monsters. We see a dinosaur that kills its siblings and covers itself in filth. But the truth is they are fragile. They are rigid statues in a flexible world, and when the world bends, they break. However, there is one final piece of the puzzle, one final behavior that defies all the violence we have just described. Despite the murder, the blood, and the terrifying stare, the Shoebill seems to operate on a strange code of honor when it meets us. If you treat the king with respect, the king might just return the favor.
After everything we have learned, the explosive violence, the fratricide, the terrifying stare, seeing a human this close to a Shoebill feels reckless. We know what that beak can do. We know it can shear through a crocodile's spine like a pair of bolt cutters. The human is in range. The weapon is loaded. The keeper bows. And then the impossible happens. This is not a trained circus trick. This is a recognized behavior, documented repeatedly in captivity. The Shoebill stork operates on a strange, unspoken code of chivalry. If you approach them with arrogance, they can be aggressive. But if you bow, if you show submission and respect, they treat you as an equal. It is the ultimate paradox. Here is a creature that murders its own siblings in the nest. It defecates on its own legs to stay cool. It rules the swamp with the cold brutality of a machine, and yet it demands manners. The Shoebill stork is a patchwork of nightmares and wonders. It sounds like a war zone. It stands like a statue. It looks like a puppet, and it acts like a gentleman. Science tells us it is a bird, but our instincts tell us the truth we felt in the very beginning. It is a glitch. It is a relic from an era when monsters were real and they didn't hide in the dark. It is a dinosaur that saw the meteor coming and simply refused to die. As the modern world closes in, shrinking the swamps and burning the reeds, we risk losing more than just a bird. We risk losing a living connection to deep time. We need the Shoebill, not because it is beautiful, because frankly it is terrifying, but because it reminds us that nature is not just a resource to be managed. It is wild, it is cruel, and it is profoundly weird. And long after we are gone, the king of the marshes will still be standing there, silent, still, waiting.